After the fall of Boss Baek, the streets of Seoul finally felt like they belonged to the people again. Han returned to the life he always wanted, spending his mornings steaming milk and his afternoons training young kids at the local gym, teaching them that boxing is about discipline, not destruction. He thought the war was over. He didn't realize that in the world of power, a vacuum is never left empty for long. While Han was building a life of peace, a man known only as the Architect was drafting a blueprint for a new kind of empire, one that didn't need thugs in leather jackets because it was protected by high-priced lawyers and government signatures. The Architect, a cold, calculating visionary named Shin, didn't care about gold bars or street-level fear. He cared about infrastructure. His goal was to revitalize the entire district by leveling the outdated small shops and replacing them with a massive high-tech commercial hub. To him, Han's mother's cafe wasn't a home, it was a coordinate on a map that needed to be erased. Shin didn't send men with bats, he sent a formal eviction notice backed by a new city ordinance. When Han tried to fight it legally, he found that every door was locked. The Architect had already bought the keys to the city. Tai-ho, now working as a private investigator, was the first to realize the scale of the threat. He brought Han a file that revealed the Urban Renewal Project was a front for a massive data harvesting center that would monitor every citizen in the district. It was a digital cage. Yuna and Mr. Park soon discovered that the funding for this project came from the same offshore accounts Boss Baek had used, meaning the beast hadn't died, it had just put on a three-piece suit. The Architect was using legitimate corporate channels to do what Baek couldn't: total domination of the people's lives. The conflict turned personal when Shin invited Han to his glass-walled penthouse for a consultation. He didn't threaten Han with violence. Instead, he offered him a choice: $1 million payout to walk away or the total destruction of everyone he cared about through a series of unfortunate legal scandals. Shin mocked Han's scars, calling him a relic of a primitive era. He believed that Han's fists were useless against a man who could move markets with a single text message. Han left the office without the money, but with a new fire in his eyes. The ghost wasn't just a fighter anymore, he had to become a strategist. Under Mr. Park's guidance, the team launched a counter-offensive. While the Architect used the law as a shield, Han used the shadows as a sword. They began a series of precision strikes, not on people, but on Shin's digital infrastructure. Yuna hacked into the servers simultaneously while Han and Tai-ho conducted audits on the construction sites, sabotaging the specialized machinery needed for the high-tech center. They were ghosting the project, causing delays that cost Shin millions every day. The Architect's calm facade began to crack as his investors grew nervous. Enraged by the delays, Shin finally dropped the act of legitimacy. He hired a private security firm composed of elite foreign mercenaries, men who operated like ghosts and had no ties to the local underworld. They launched a midnight raid on the bookstore looking for the evidence Yuna had stolen. The battle was unlike anything Han had faced. These weren't street brawlers, they were tactical professionals using flashbangs and thermal optics. Han had to fight in total darkness, relying on his hearing and the muscle memory of the bookstore's layout. He neutralized the team, but the message was clear: the corporate war was turning into a bloodbath. The Architect's final play was to frame Mr. Park for the very fraud Shin was committing. He used deep fake technology and doctored documents to make it look like the kind lender was the true mastermind behind the district's debt crisis. With the police closing in on the bookstore, Han realized they had one move left. They had to infiltrate the main data hub during its grand opening ceremony. It was a suicide mission. Han and Tai-ho would have to bypass a biometric security system even more advanced than Baek's, while Yuna broadcasted the true data to the public in real time. On the night of the gala, Han didn't wear a jumpsuit, he wore a high-end tuxedo, blending in with the city's elite. While Shin gave a speech about the future of the city, Han and Tai-ho were moving through the air vents, dodging laser sensors and automated drones. They reached the core server room, but they were met by Shin's personal bodyguard, a silent, cybernetically enhanced fighter who didn't feel pain or fatigue. The fight was a blur of high-tech weaponry and raw boxing skill. Han was pushed to his absolute limit, forced to use every tactical trick Mr. Park had taught him to find the machine's weakness. As Tai-Ho held off the security teams, Han finally breached the core. Yuna triggered the Truth Protocol, and suddenly the massive screens behind Shin's podium stopped showing promotional videos. Instead, they showed the private contracts, the bribe logs, and the secret surveillance footage of Shin's illegal dealings. The elite audience gasped as the architect of the future was revealed to be a common criminal. Shin tried to flee, but he found Han waiting for him at the exit. No words were exchanged. Han simply showed him the eviction notice Shin had sent to his mother, then delivered a single, devastating right hook that shattered Shin's digital dreams. In the aftermath, the urban renewal project was dismantled and the district was declared a protected historical zone. Han returned to his cafe, but he knew the world was changing. The enemies were getting smarter, hiding behind screens and laws instead of knives. He looked at his reflection in the window, the scar on his cheek a badge of honor. He wasn't just a protector of his family anymore, he was the guardian of the city's soul. And as long as there were architects of greed trying to build cages for the poor, the ghost would be there, waiting in the shadows to tear them down.